Alright, ladies, gents, and everyone else, welcome to Battlebots, Season 5, Episode 11, previews and predictions. This is where we start the round of 32. We're going to do the left half of the bracket for this episode, and from now on we're only seeing the best of the best, the top 32 robots this season. As you can see, regrettably, this is another short episode. I know I thought we'd be through these by now, no more holidays or anything like that, but sadly, I had an unexpected family situation, so I didn't have the mental or emotional headspace to put in the work required to do one of these this week. So I'm sorry for that, guys. Thank you for bearing with me. I would have loved to have gotten a clean run through these final 4 episodes, but you know, some things you just can't ignore. Alright, so let's dive into Battle 1. The top seed Hydra is taking on the number 32 seed Hypershock. We've seen them fight already in an exhibition match last season. Hydra won that without really having to do anything. Will Bales threw himself out of the arena. This season, Hydra is on some real good form. Hypershock has had another rough year, and while I think it might be able to outmaneuver Hydra for some of the match, I don't think they're going to be able to get underneath Hydra on a consistent enough basis to do damage. Hydra is very difficult to get underneath, and I reckon the damage caused to Hypershock by Hydra launching it all the way up into the air will be too much for it. I'm going to say Hydra by knockout. Alright, and then we move on to perhaps the closest battle in the top 32, because of course it's between the 16th seed and 17th seed, Malice and Gigabyte. Gigabyte's shown some really good form this season. They've been reliable. Malice still a little bit of an unknown quantity. We don't really know how well it does on the defensive, given how its fights have gone this season. I think the main problem for Malice is that when it hits a robot, it skews itself to the side and exposes its wheel. I expect Gigabyte to be able to take advantage of that. If Malice loses a wheel, then I think it just loses the fight, even if it's not necessarily a knockout. So I can see Gigabyte doing fatal damage from that point. So I'm going to go Gigabyte by knockout for that one. Whiplash versus Huge, another rematch in this episode. We've seen this battle last season in the round of 16. I don't really know if Huge has improved that much yet. I definitely think Whiplash has, although they only just scraped together a split judge's decision that season, so maybe Huge can tip it in their favor this time around. I don't think so. I think Huge still doesn't quite have what it takes, and I'm not sure if they quite have the power. They don't generally knock robots out, so they find it a little bit difficult to do fatal damage to anyone. I'm going to say Whiplash in this one. I think they can control the fight once again. Matt Vasquez is going to be brave. He's going to throw his robot into Huge's weapon, stop it from spinning, and take control of the fight from there, like he did last season. So Whiplash by judge's decision. Here we move on to Valkyrie versus Sub-Zero, Leanne Cushing versus Logan Davis. As long as Valkyrie's weapon keeps spinning, I don't see them losing this one. The question is whether or not Sub-Zero can box rush fast enough. We've seen that is what Valkyrie is vulnerable to. I'm not sure if Sub-Zero can manage that, and I don't think they're durable enough to stand up to Valkyrie's pressure throughout the duration of a match. That flipper has a chance of putting Valkyrie off center if they actually get a good flip in, but I'm not convinced that they will. Even against Sporkanuk, they kind of struggled to get a good flip there, more than they should have anyway. I honestly think Valkyrie is going to rip Sub-Zero apart in this 9-24 battle. So it's got to be Valkyrie by knockout for me. Moving on to the 4th seed Uppercut, taking on the number 29 seed Hijinks. A battle between a vertical spinning bar and an undercutter bar. Jen Herkenroder has landed herself a very tough matchup in this round of 32. I'm expecting Uppercut to go with that wedge configuration to protect their vulnerable sides and stop that undercutter from doing all that much damage. While this could be a dangerous fight for Uppercut to go into, Hijinks looks vicious. The key here is weapon spin up time, and Uppercut has Hijinks covered on that by miles. The first hit is going to be the most risky for Alex Satori, but from then on, the advantage is theirs for the taking, and I think we're going to see the owl fly. So that's Uppercut by knockout for me. Beta versus Ribot, the 13th seed against the 20th seed. I reckon Ribot will go in with the vertical spinner for this one, and it will make John Reed hesitate, as we've seen before, to fire that hammer. And even if he does fire that hammer, we've got the impact absorbent frog on the top, along with a very, very tough robot underneath. I don't know the specifics of this, but I think Ribot is meant to be one of the toughest robots at Battlebots. The vulnerability for Ribot is the higher ground clearance. I think we could see Beta get underneath and shove Ribot all around the battle box through various portions of the fight. But ultimately, I reckon that vertical spinner will get underneath Beta. They'll be able to take the advantage and actually do damage to Beta, which I don't think Beta will be able to do damage back to Ribot for the most part. I think this is the fight where Ribot is really going to prove itself. and it's going to be a shock exit for the boys from Britain, sadly, honestly. I really wanted to see more of Beta, but I don't think this is a very good matchup for them. So I'm going to go with Ribot by a judge's decision in this one. Alright, now we've got the inexplicable 5th seed Black Dragon going against the 28th seed Slammo. Craig Danby has his work cut out for him up against the Brazilian team. Although having said that, I think this is the sort of robot that Slammo was made to fight, the same way that Kraken was. This could be deja vu for Black Dragon. That Kraken fight was very, very difficult for them. I think we're going to see Slammo employ the same setup as they did against Witch Doctor, and that worked really well in that fight, but Slammo just didn't quite have the durability to fend off the attacks from Witch Doctor when they finally came. I think it's going to be the same case here. I think Slammo will control this fight more than they did against Witch Doctor. Black Dragon is just a better shape for them to fight. But in the end, I think the speed and maneuverability of the Brazilian robot will win out. Slammo's just going to struggle to control them for the whole fight and struggle to hold on when they actually start doing damage. So I'm going to say Black Dragon by a judge's decision in that one, actually. Alright, lastly, the 12th seed Mad Cat are going against Tombstone, the number 21 seed. This is a fascinating fight. Tombstone seems to have fallen hard this season, and it's going to be very difficult for them to recover in this fight. Mad Cat will go in with that wedge and the vertical spinner. It looked really good against Fusion with that setup. They stood up well to the horizontal spinner there. They also stood up pretty well against Malice. The one chance I see for Tombstone is obviously to go round the sides of Mad Cat and try and take out the vulnerable wheels. But we've seen multiple times now how Tombstone is vulnerable to a good wedge, and the vertical spinner is just the cherry on top. So I'm going to go with Mad Cat by knockout in this one. Well, that was a bit of a sprint, but I'm glad I got this done. Thanks for bearing with me, as I said before. Cannot wait for this episode. Always exciting to dive into the finals of Battlebots. I'm honestly not going to promise anything more than this for next week either, but I'm really going to try to get it done. Hopefully next week it will be easier to do. And yeah, I'll see you next week.